are super pumped for this conversation, and we trust it's going to be shifting, to say the least. And we are going to go over a hot topic, which is what in the world is vibrational frequency, and why does it matter, and how can you really use this information to impact your life? And I'm super excited to dive in.
I'm excited too. And today's conversation is going to be probably part one of a 100-part series, most likely.
This is going to be scratching the surface.
Yeah, because this is, we learned about vibration, frequency, and tone, not only within ourselves, but within everything in this entire world over a decade ago. And I will say the very first time I started diving down the rabbit hole, per se, it made absolutely no sense to me, but it kind of made just a teeny bit of sense at one point in time. And then we learned a little bit more. And so what, my intention of sharing this and this conversation is to plant seeds with people to let them know that, it's so much more than just the physical. We get asked a whole lot, like, how are these gentle adjustments making such a big impact in my life? And this is from people that are actually having a big impact. They're like, I just don't get how. And it's because it's so much more than just the physical. It's the energetics, it's the vibration, it's the tone of where we are coming from that's animating and animating all 100 trillion cells in our body.
So what is vibration?
So let's think about it this way. We are this physical being, right? But if we break ourselves down, we're made up of systems: the nervous system, the cardiovascular system, the endocrine system. Those systems are made up of cells. In those cells, we have hundreds of trillions of cells in our body. And if we go a couple layers deeper, at our smallest, most fundamental form, we are a bunch of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Like, we're going to go back all the way to high school science class, and we'll dive into the world of quantum physics. And what they show is that if you go inside of an atom, we are 99.999999913 space and energy and frequency, and 0.00012 to 13 zeros 1% particle and matter. So like, this physical body isn't really physical. And again, that's kind of weird to think about it, but that's the nutty world of quantum physics. And to take it the next step and talk about what we're speaking about here, the vibrational frequency, how fast those atoms are vibrating, actually determines the level of organization and structure that matter takes. So what does that mean exactly? This cup right here versus this plant right here. They're both made up of protons, neutrons, electrons vibrating at a specific level. And we share this example: this plant has a higher vibrational frequency than this cup because this plant is alive. It's an animate object. So it really just determines, your vibration determines how things show up in this world, how you show up in this world. And so understanding that you're made up of these things, your nervous system, being your perception system, is also taking in a bunch of vibrations, experiences such as talking to your wife, doing a video recording, sitting down, eating food. So everything in this world, including yourself, is made up of a bunch of vibration that your nervous system and perception system has to take in. Kind of like the colors. I don't know if you've ever seen color spectrum before. They all have a certain frequency that your nervous system has to perceive. So big picture, just sharing with you that everything in this world isn't just physical, or it isn't just an experience. It's actually a vibration that our body is taking in.
And when you first learned this information, you thought it was kind of out there.
I definitely thought it was out there.
What really shifted for you? Was it just the research, or?
Yeah, I think the research. I think I make the joke. Our mentor, Dr. Suki, shared with us this book called Dancing Wooly Masters. He's like, read this book. It's all about quantum physics, and you'll really get a deep understanding of it. And I read the first 5 pages of this book. I'm like, this is just way too much. They're talking equations and physics and all this stuff, mathematics, and I'm just like, this is just way too complex. And then I find out 6 months later that he has a book, and a lot of it goes into the quantum physics, and that's why we actually give this book.
Everyone gets it at our office.
Yeah, so people can understand a whole lot more. But I think in practicality, I think we start to learn and we get that educational piece, but then it's applying this information to our lives and seeing, oh, okay, so if I get angry, that is a certain vibration that is being expressed through my cells. And that vibration then leads to cellular changes. It leads to our endocrine system being activated. It leads to this cortisol, adrenaline, which then leads to the aches and pains, the anxiety. So for me, it was just going down a rabbit hole of understanding like, oh, I have all this physical stuff, this mental, emotional stuff, but if I go little deeper, it's actually about the vibration that's coming from internally. And then obviously the after effects that have to do with other aspects of our life as well.
And I think for me, like, I discovered health and wellness, I would say, when I was 21. And, you know, like, I changed my diet. I was really mindful of how I moved my body. I was getting traditional chiropractic adjustments and doing all these things that I had heard to do. But I felt like there was like missing pieces in my journey that weren't filled until I actually learned about vibration and energy, and like really that we can change our life, we can change our state, like we can heal the past. This is all through the energetics, I would say, that really took my life to another level that for me, I instantly was just like, this makes sense. And it just was a little bit...
It didn't make that much sense for me right off the bat. Yeah,
it felt right, and I feel like it filled in a lot of gaps that I was like looking for,
yeah,
I would say.
I think I even say too, like we live in this physical world, and I've been researching this stuff for over 10 years. I have a lot of answers of why certain things happen to me in my life, to other people in their life, why we attract certain things and certain experiences over and over again, how people have healed through, you know, we've seen multiple sclerosis, autoimmune diseases, debilitating pain, anxiety for years. And people will ask like, well then how does it exactly happen? And I've gotten a lot of answers, but I also have 2 more questions for every answer that comes, because it is actually quite interesting how when people can start shifting that vibration within them and they start living in a place of more peace, more gratitude, more joy, higher vibrational experiences, that from a cellular standpoint, these things begin to shift and change in their life. So I think seeing it over and over again has given me that confidence to kind of just put my hands off the wheel and be like, yeah, there is something to this. And if we can start attuning to higher frequencies, we can start shifting some things in our life.
Yeah. And the book Body Electric, if you guys have never heard of it, I would definitely recommend grabbing it and diving in. It was really enlightening to me and made a lot of sense. It has a spectrum. Everything's a spectrum, but there's different diseases have different vibrational frequencies essentially, which is really, really interesting. Like aches and pains have a certain frequency. Multiple sclerosis has a certain frequency. Autoimmune disease has a certain frequency. And so the goal in all of this, and this is what we share when we sit down with someone and through our reassessments in our classes, the goal through all of this is to increase our vibration. Like that's really the goal. Through increasing our vibration, that's when we experience higher levels of health and well-being. That's when we feel more in a place of peace. That's when we feel more fulfilled and satisfied and in alignment with who we truly are. So the goal in all of this is to increase that frequency. But I really like this conversation because it's allowing them to understand what it actually is and why it matters, and then we're also going to get into how do we do it.
Yeah, and the frequency is an energy, right?
Yes.
And so why we use the medium of the nervous system is because if we have lived a lifestyle for a certain period of time, certain experiences, it has been locked within our nervous system, which then actually causes a contraction within our system. That contraction lowers the frequency of the cells. Less light is actually being emitted from our cells, and that's why we find ourselves in these patterns over and over again. And I think for the advanced part of this whole integration process and healing process is, yes, heal the stuff from the past, but then it's to attune, to connect to the frequency that we want to start creating. And that's why we talk about creating and thinking about our greatest desires, and after we're out of pain, what is it that we want to start doing? And so it's about attuning and connecting to that frequency to actually bring it into yourself and bring it into your life.
That's a really good piece to hit on, because what I share with people as well is that, you know, our past has really imprinted our nervous system and shaped basically our vibration in a sense to where that's what we're seeing through our perception system. Like that is the lens that we look through. That's what we are attracting because of our past experiences and what we've been through. So as we begin healing the past, processing what's really stored within the system, then from that place, we can begin like actually maybe waking up to that we can create our life, and what do we actually want to experience? What do we want to see? What do we want to do? So many times we're working with people and they haven't even asked themselves that question ever, because they're just kind of living on autopilot. Like, this is just kind of the life that I've been told to live, so here I am. And that's how it was for me. I didn't understand that I could, again, be the creator of my life or change things, and that has like done everything for me. I'm super grateful. So to forward that to other people, one of the greatest gifts we can ever give.
I mean, we were just talking about it today. A woman came in and she was in a really tough place. She's been through this process for about 2 months. And what did she say to you today about how now that stuff's starting to offload off her system, and her partner is actually starting to see these incredible changes and shifts? And these are things that people don't think about in the beginning because they just feel crappy. They just feel like so disconnected. But it's like when that stuff starts to offload off their system, then they can actually like express greater vitality. And we sometimes don't necessarily say that in the beginning to people because it can be overwhelming. But that's why we're here. That's why the REV team does what we do, because we want people to express their highest frequency, because that is going to impact the world at an even greater level.
And that's our birthright. And this woman that he's speaking about, she actually even looks different. 2 months later than when she first came into our space. And she looks different because she's expressing more vitality, which actually means that her cells are expressing and emitting more light, which is like the coolest thing to see, like the repercussions of healing and what it actually looks like. But her husband was just casually, they were sitting down after dinner, and he was like, he just noticed her, and they've been together for probably 15 years, and he was like, I can see that you're doing so much better now. Like at this point, it becomes palpable. And I feel like when you start to really shift your vibration, it becomes palpable to the people in your life at some point. And it's cool.
It's palpable even if we don't think it's palpable, because we say this all the time, like, I'm vibing with that person or I'm not vibing with that person. What is that? You walk into a room and maybe someone was having a fight or something like that, maybe whether you know them or not, and you just walk in, it's like, you just feel there's something in the room. That energy is perceived, that vibration perceived by your nervous system. Or how I met Monica, there was something about her that I was just vibing with, and I picked up on that, and I'm like, I want to know more about this person, right?
Another example too is like listening to music. Like if you're in a certain mood, you want to match that mood with a certain genre of music. So like you can attune yourself to that music, and every music has a different vibe, so to say. But this is kind of just examples for you guys as you're going throughout your day to be like, oh, I'm starting to like notice these things. And the more you notice it, the more you kind of go into that world, and it changes and colors everything.
100%. I think to wrap this video up, because again, I think we can keep going a little bit more
into our
down
intro, scratching the surface.
This is part one of a 100-part series. So I think it's important to understand that we are dynamic as human beings, and we're dynamic as these 100 trillion cell organisms, or 7 octillion atoms that make us up, which is just a mind-boggling thing. And if we want to start making shifts and changes, our team has talked about awareness is the first step, integrating our past, creating more coherence in our nervous system. That's all things that are going to start attuning and aligning. Then we need to start doing actionable steps outside of these 4 walls that we work hands-on with people, or a meditation chair, or whatever it may be, and start doing things that are going to support the increase of our vibration. And I think the 2 ways to look at it is, if you want to increase your vibration, you have to eliminate the things that are lowering your vibe. You have to increase the things that are increasing your vibe. Maybe we'll do another video more extensive on some of those things, but one of the very first things that we can do is do less by eliminating and getting rid of things. And we talk about your vibration is very much affected by the things that you put on your body, the things that you take in as food, and the people that you surround yourself. So, Mon, I'd love for you to share just a few things that people could do to eliminate things that are lowering their vibe, just anything that pops out of your head.
We're gonna like open the hatch, because there's just a lot under the hood. And this is what I first learned, in my early 20s. I was just like learning about toxins and all these things in my house, and it was kind of a really interesting moment to realize that what was on the shelves isn't necessarily safe. And I think that moment is like really shifts a lot of things to like wake up to what's actually going on. And so to really be like an empowered consumer, and also be like, you know, in control of like what goes on your body temple, like what you're putting in your body, what is going around your children's body, what are you living in? Like our houses are a sanctuary, and we really need to be really mindful of, you know, the things that we're spraying and the things that we're like cleaning with and, you know, washing our clothes with, because these are all things that we're breathing in, and it's touching our largest organ, which is our skin, every second of every day. So these toxins that he's touching on is really, really matters, and it can be really overwhelming to people as far as like where to start. And this is a whole other video that we've talked about, Dr. Erica and I, but little things to start with is just being really mindful of what we're like washing our clothes with. I'm just going to give you guys some tools to take away with. If we're washing our clothes with, you know, let's just start with fragrance, because fragrance is in everything. People are like, oh, well, fragrance is fine, perfume's fine. That's just one of the things that if you guys take away right now, it's automatically going to increase your vibration. Like, huge. Automatically. And I'm like, let's go in the path of least resistance to increase our vibration. Let's just literally just like take away something that doesn't need to be there, instead of doing all of these things that maybe require more energy. So like, let's just talk about fragrance and not using things like perfumes, colognes. But fragrance is something that is an umbrella term, and it houses a lot of different chemicals and endocrine disruptors, which is a hormone disruptor. But just taking away fragrance as far as what you're spraying on your body, but also being mindful of fragrance in your laundry, like I was saying earlier. So really opting for unscented or things that have essential oils, but also using unscented, maybe cleaning supplies, unless it's essential oil based, because again, we're cleaning with it. It's volatile, which means it goes throughout our house. So we're breathing it in, and there's basically no pathway more direct than breathing it in or touching our skin. So, and also like, you know, body products like hair care, lotions, all of those things, opting for unscented is always best, unless it's essential oil based. Yeah. So that's just kind of some nuggets, because this is kind of like a rabbit hole that, this is a part 1 series, but toxins are a huge thing. If you just stop doing that, automatically your vibration will increase, because it dims the light that our cells are essentially emitting. You put up you said a really good example yesterday. You're like, it's this like blanket over our cells, basically, that doesn't let them emit the light that they need to.
I think of it, the toxin, you're big in the toxins that are around our household. I think about that heaviness feeling comes from like foods that we eat as well. And like, I've had my friends tell me from high school, like, you look like you're getting younger. And I really think a huge piece of it is that Monica in the beginning really hit home the importance of the quality of food that we ate. And like, we're not the cleanest 100% eaters all the time. Like, we go out and enjoy ourselves.
We do 80-20.
But at home, we are pretty good at what we do. And the biggest things is, we don't really have any foods that have GMOs in it, and we don't have these seed oils like canola oil and vegetable oil. Those things, and the processed and refined carbohydrates and the processed oils, those things are heavy within our system. And when the heaviness of that sludge, essentially, that then compacts the cells to not let that light out, which then dims our vibration as well. So if you can do these simple things, and again, not every single time, but making micro choices, better choices over time, and eliminating these things before doing anything extra is going to add to the frequency and vibration of your cells, shifting you.
In our meat.
Yeah, in our meat. I don't think we're going to be in this video to be able to do the things to add to your vibration, maybe one, but you think about like the quality of meat that you have. And again, there's so many different factors that come with it, but you have the sun that comes down and goes through photosynthesis to allow the grass to grow. That is a high vibration, because all that light is coming from there. A cow that is grass-fed and then eats that grass is actually taking the light, the biophotonic energy, and putting it into its body, growing its muscles. And then when we eat that grass-fed beef, we are actually using that energy from the sun and adding it to the complexity of who we are. If we go through a GMO crop that a cow would eat and have that's not good. That's not the same level of vitality and light and frequency that a grass-fed steak or a grass-fed burger would be. So again, is that possible 100% of the time? No, but we have the ability to make those better choices along the way that I feel would really support you in your journey.
And in doing so, automatically your energy will be increased because you're not processing so much of that stuff anymore. Like, these are all positive side effects that really result from increasing your vibration and minimizing the exposure that some of us just grew up doing and we just continue to do. Like, I grew up eating fast food, like,
Absolutely.
Candy all the time. And now that I don't, like, I feel better. And once you begin to feel better, you seek that more and more. And then another component that we can really just be more mindful of and start to be aware of is the people that we're hanging around. This is like really, really big and kind of like a sober moment as far as we are the sum of the 5 people that we hang around most. So having this reality check as far as like, okay, I'm aware that I want to increase my vibration. I want to bring more into my life, because if I, increase my vibration, I'm actually going to attract these things that I want into my field, essentially. Looking at the people that you spend the most time with is really important. And I'm not necessarily talking about family. That's a different conversation, because we can heal those dynamics too. But the people that you choose, I think, is something to really be mindful of and a conversation to have.
There's studies out there, if you are overweight and the 4 or 5 people that you hang around the most are also overweight, it is exponentially harder for you to lose that weight, to get healthy. And you've seen it too, probably, people that have a lot of anger or sarcasm or these negative kind of ways of living, usually they have a lot of friends that act the same way as well. And again, nothing wrong with the way that people want to live their life, but the reality is, if we want more for our life, if we want something greater, we do have to start looking around the people that we hang around. And this is a lesson that I have learned through the last decade. Monica, when we first learned this, she's like, cool, we're dropping all these losers. And I'm like, well, Tommy's nice, let's hang out. No, she didn't use that. No, but she said, I want more for my life. I want to be around a vibe and a people that I resonate with, that it wants more out of life. And that was over a decade plus ago. And I can tell you right now, we are trying to be impeccable with the people that we surround ourselves. And luckily, our family's pretty awesome. And who we spend most of our time. Our family is amazing.
Yeah. So the meter that I really look for when I'm with people, and this is a tool for you guys to use, is that when you leave those people, how do you feel? Do you feel lit up and inspired and just like, I'm full of possibilities? Or do you leave those people feeling like maybe a little depressed or kind of angry or irritated or whatever it may be? Pay attention to your emotions, because they're always leading you and they're always teaching you. And I have these conversations with a lot of people going through this process as their vibration is increasing, and they begin to look at their friend group and they're like, I feel like I don't really belong anymore. And that's, again, a really sobering moment to have as far as like, what do I want to do? Because sometimes these people have been in our life for 20 years. So 2 options for these is that, 1, you invite them on the journey with you to increase the vibration and to change our life together. And it's not just like a, hey, Johnny, let's increase our vibration. Obviously, it's a more in-depth conversation than that, and sharing the journey that you're embarking on and inviting them to, do it as well if that's what they want. And then number 2 is maybe finding new friends that are more in alignment with the life that you're wanting to create and inviting more of. And that can be challenging, but it's, again, where you're going, and really like having that vision and that North Star really in your mind's eye. And that's really what I just trusted, that I would find the people that I was meant to have in my life. And I went through some hard times, and we both did. And now we have the most amazing community of people, and it was worth it all. And I'm super grateful. So it's possible, and it's just something to be aware of, I would say.
It's 100% worth it. And to wrap this whole video up, it is worth it to focus on your vibration and frequency, because that is everything. It is the essence of who you are. It's the essence of how your body manifests and shows up today. It's also the essence of, as you shift it, where you can actually lead to. So we hope this conversation was a good intro into vibration and tone, and beginning to make shifts in you and who you are. And we'll definitely do another part 2 in a couple weeks.
How to increase your vibration.
How to increase your vibration. Awesome. We hope you found value in this video. If you could, please please subscribe, comment if you have something to share with us, and share with a friend, and we will see you on the next one.